on, guys? It's Friday, July 7th. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I went up north for the 4th of July, hung out with some family and friends, and actually real quick I want to show you, I did end up making a hitch mounted flagpole for my truck. So I went with Dirty Max Jack's idea. It's super easy. I did have a extra hitch laying around, and then I just went to Lowe's, bought a 1-inch by 18-inch pipe, bought a heavy duty PVC cap, and then just like he did it, drilled a hole inside of the cap, dropped the bolt down, and then obviously with some washers and nuts, get that to focus, tighten that up, and that's pretty much it. It works really well. Like he said, it's extremely sturdy. As far as the flagpole itself, I bought from Menards. I bought the flag separate, and then I bought the aluminum flagpole. So all together, this whole thing, since I already had the hitch, I think I put maybe about 25-30 bucks into it. I actually even used zip ties around these clips here just to make sure that the flag would not, or these clips wouldn't break and the flag wouldn't fly off. Same up top there. And then I actually drilled a hole through the pipe and the flagpole here and put a clip through it just to ensure that the flagpole wasn't gonna fly up. Now, as far as how fast you can go with something like this, it was just for me to ride around town with. I mean, I did go up to 55 at one point, and everything stayed intact. It did seem like it was a little sketchy, so I definitely wasn't going to go up to 55 for a long amount of time. But I mean, just for cruising around town, 25, 35 miles an hour, it worked great. Since I made a video on 3 things I hate about my 6.0 POWERSTROKE, I feel it's only right if I make 3 things that I love about my 6.0 POWERSTROKE. So let's get into it. Let's start out with number 1. First reason I love my 6.0 is I love that the way it looks. Now, when I first bought the truck, I didn't necessarily have a picture in my head on how I wanted it to look, because I think just stock these 05 to 07 Super Duties look really sharp. But after tweaking a few things here and there, put in a lift, wheels and tires, aftermarket grill and headlights and mirrors and all the good stuff, it came out perfect. I couldn't have wanted it to look any better. Yeah, I mean, I'd like it to sit a little higher, maybe a little bit more offset on the wheels, but for what I use it for, being a daily driver, it sits perfect. I mean, everything on the truck looks perfect to me. It does have some imperfections, obviously, but for being 12 years old, I really can't complain. And also the paint color. A lot of people ask me my paint color because they like the dark burgundy with the beige trim. The paint color on this truck, the red is dark Toretto red, that's what Ford calls it. And then the trim is Arizona beige, I believe. And I'll actually give you a lot of people have asked for the paint codes. Let me get the focus here. So here's the paint codes. That's the red, it's JM, and the trim is AQ. That's Ford's paint codes. Second reason I love this truck so much is the way it sounds. When I first bought the truck, it had a 4-inch turbo back exhaust with a muffler. So within a few weeks of buying the truck, I bought on Amazon, you can buy a muffler delete pipe by MBRP. It's a 30-inch 4-inch pipe. I had a exhaust shop cut out the muffler, weld in the new pipe, and then from there I was straight piped. And like I said, and why I chose the 6.0 POWERSTROKE video, if you haven't seen that one, I love the sound of 6.0 POWERSTROKEs, especially straight piped. I think it's one of the best sounding diesels. So that is definitely the second reason that I love my 6.0 POWERSTROKE. And the third reason I love my 6.0 is the interior / ride quality. Now, this is a Lariat edition, so it's leather, has a lot of nice features on it. But I just think this tan leather with the wood trim is super sharp. I have an aftermarket radio. I do have heated seats. Unfortunately, my side does not work. The passenger side works. But overall, it's just, with it being a Lariat, the overall ride quality is actually really nice. And I did put a rough country lift on it, so it is a cheaper lift, but still it doesn't ride really any much rougher than when I had my leveling kit on it. I've never driven this truck on a completely stock suspension. Ever since I bought the truck, it's either been leveled or lifted, but I have rode in other Super Duties and the ride quality is not much worse. So if you are thinking about getting a rough country lift, I know this is kind of off topic, but rough country makes super nice lifts. They're cheap, they're easy to install, and they actually don't ride as bad as what some people think. So those are the three main reasons I love my 6.0 POWERSTROKE. It's just extremely fun to drive. It turns heads. Yeah, there are a lot bigger, better trucks out there, but in my area there's not a whole lot of lifted diesels, and it definitely gains a lot of attention driving it around. It sounds awesome. It pulls really nice. Just an overall awesome truck to drive. If you watched my last video, I did a review on a new tune that I put on the truck. It was Truck Source Diesel's Super Panty Dropper, and I've had a few people ask me how my EGTs are. Well, the answer to that is I'm not really sure. So, a quick story. A few years ago when my truck was in the shop getting bulletproofed, I had planned on putting pillar gauges in, so I'm like, well, while the truck's torn apart, let's just throw in my new gauges. And the shop was like, sure, not a problem. They told me which gauges I wanted, what color I wanted them to be, all that stuff. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go with the autometer gauges, and let's do trans temp, fuel pressure, and EGTs. So we were going back and forth. I was talking with their head mechanic, and we were trying to decide what gauges were best for my truck and the application I'm using the truck in and all that. So there was a bit of a miscommunication. So I got a picture a few weeks later of the truck all buttoned up. He sent me a picture of my gauges, and I noticed that I had trans, fuel pressure, and then I had boost. And I was just a little confused on why they would put a boost gauge in when the 05 to 07 Super Duties, they put a boost gauge right in your tachometer at the bottom there. Well, the truck had already been in the shop for a couple months. There was a lot of issues when the truck was getting bulletproofed. I mean, there was a whole handful. I couldn't even list all of them, but I was just ready to get the truck back. So you know what, I was like, the truck's bulletproofed. I'm not going to be running any crazy tunes or anything like that, so I'm not even going to worry about the EGT gauge right now. Later on down the road, maybe I'll just throw in a fourth gauge, get the entire new mount for 4 gauges. But honestly, EGTs aren't something I worry about. I don't do a lot of heavy towing with the truck. I mean, I'll pull around a 4-wheeler and dirt bike every once in a while, but not a lot of heavy pulling. But it is still, maybe at one point I will just end up throwing the 4th EGT gauge, or I've even seen people, they mount them on top of the steering wheel. So there's a few different options, but try to keep a long story short, I don't have an EGT gauge, so I've never been able to monitor my EGTs. Well guys, that's gonna about do it for today's video. If you stuck to the end, please give the video a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, please do so. July 15th, I'll be going to another diesel event up in Berlin Township, Michigan. It's going to be a dyno and a dirt drag event. As far as right now, I do plan on dynoing my trucks. I know a lot of people have asked what kind of horsepower the Super Panty Dropper tune puts out, so hopefully if everything goes well, we'll get a good idea. on the horsepower that this tune puts out with just being a bulletproofed and tuned truck. So again, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you next time.